All right, this is a Ultra Air 735. So what I did was I put dielectric grease on this ring. I cleaned it out inside here. This is the start capacitor. Well, that's not a capacitor. It's just like a starter plate. It goes on the starter windings. This little guy, you want it to be clean in there. And that pushes up against this bearing here. Kind of keeps things in place. And the way this works is these guys here go up and down, and they're actuated by this guy right here. You may have to go a little sideways. You see this right here? So that's a centrifugal starter. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little dab of dielectric grease there, a little dab of dielectric grease there. And then I also, because this thing was running like total dog shit, actually wasn't running at all, I took a piece of 220 grit sandpaper, just like a little one, like this. This is 220. And I took these guys, and you can slide them off. And then I sanded off these electrodes here and on the bottom, make them nice and shiny. I did it on both sides, so you can see it pulled off the other one. You can see they're nice and clean in there. That's actually what causes these things to fail. Put this thing back together. I did put a wire cap on here, but you have to snake this wire back on the side of the motor, because if you don't do that, then it'll come out and it'll get all boogered up with everything else in there. You know how I know that, Steph? Because I did it, you know? And so you kind of have to line this crap up. So there's some like points that are flattened out here, and this is how this thing all goes back together. So there's one here, one there, and there's one there. And when you put this thing together, it's kind of like putting together any other precision piece of equipment. You got to be careful when you do it, and that you don't misalign these things. You just kind of drop this guy on there, and he'll fit on there. And then what I do is I'll take one of the bolts here, and you should just be able to kind of work this back and forth a little bit until you find where that goes. You don't want to move it too much, because then you'll get all those wires all okay wacky, and you don't want that. And then you drop these guys in here. Again, just kind of work them back and forth, and then you should be able to get them in there by hand. There we go. Moving the wires out of the way, which is why I kind of had to go back and forth a little bit. And then you don't want to cross thread nothing. That should just go in real easy. And then you take your handy dandy 5/16. And what I did was, you want to work this so what I did was I just take this guy off, and you eventually got to work this in star pattern. So like you just kind of barely touch each one of them down. Because remember that this guy centers that bearing. So if you don't center the bearing, it's not going to work right. So I just barely got it on there. And then what I do is I start working in a star pattern, just like a little bit at a time. So you can see I do opposites. And then if you got one side that's like a little bit more down than the other, then you just have to deal with that. So we're gonna, there we go. And this guy's loose. This guy down here is loose. And you just kind of keep working it. And then you know it's right when that guy sits there. You don't have to tighten this down crazy. It just needs to be on there. I bet which is about 6 pounds of torque. Then you want to test this guy, make sure it spins freely. And then you just take it out here and put it on the outlet. Plug it in. And it should just run. What do you think, Steph?
Nice.
Turn, spinner, spinner, turn. Putting the rest of this thing back together. I kind of have to put it on something. Then you just drop this thing in there. I clean this off nice and good. And then this guy, you need to take these. And then this is how you take it apart, by the way. Same thing. This one you can be a little less precise with than the motor rebuild. I should have showed you how I used an ohm meter and tested out those connections on the starter winding. Like if this thing is just like humming away, like it doesn't start, it's because those points are burnt. And you guys, that's why I sand them off. This one got struck by lightning, so that's why it got all jacked up. But I put it back together after cleaning off those points. It seemed to be real good, didn't it? Yeah. And then this guy will go together like that. And then I take a rag like this and put it around this thing inside the hole and just put a wire around it. That way I don't have to worry about it getting ants and shit like that in there, because ants like to crawl inside this hole. When they get up inside the motor and foul it all up, you know, you get to decide what you want to do. But again, this one should be about 5 foot-pounds. This just kind of holds it on. All right. You can see I cleaned it up real good. All right, that's it. Cool.